Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm excited again to host this series on farmers and the important work they're doing for us on the African continent and in our fight against COVID-19. Last week we profiled two very interesting entrepreneurs, and they talked about the difficulties they face while running their farms, you know, the challenges and how they have overcome them. So today we'll also be going all the way to Kenya, and we're going to be talking to two interesting farmers. Waiting for them to come online so that I can include them in this call. And I am so excited. We have one of them online. Yeah, well, I need yeah I need you to request to join the video for me to add you to it. Hi everyone. Hi Elizabeth. Hi Simon. Hi. I need you to request to join the video. Okay, so as I was saying, so these farmers are going to be telling us what it takes to be an African farmer. It's interesting because most people do not know the kind of work that goes into farming, or dedication and the craft that goes into feeding a huge continent like the continent of Africa. And so this is why this mini docu series exists. We want to profile the African farmers, show you what they are doing, the amount of work they are doing, and also to talk about the challenges and solutions to their problems. And this is why I'm really passionate about this. Boniface, if you're online, please request to be part of the video so I can add you. I can see you online, but you have to request to be part of the video. Give me 1 second, everyone, while I try to add him. One second. Hi David, how are you doing? Okay, we're still waiting for him to come. So as with anything on the African continent, we know running a business is fraught with challenges. However, where there are challenges, there are solutions, right? I always tell entrepreneurs that I speak to every day and people that I mentor that where there is an abundance of challenges and problems, there is also an abundance of solutions. And it's not different from when you are a farmer, you're involved in the agricultural chain, the value chain. It is fraught with a lot of challenges, and with those challenges actually come a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs like you, I, and the farmers we are going to be talking to in a couple of minutes. It presents opportunities for them, and food is so important. I mean, you can't go around doing your daily work or running your business without food. I don't know about you, me, I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't optimally give the output that I like without food. And that is why we decided to profile farmers. People will say, why agriculture? But agriculture is very important. The sustenance of the continent is really dependent on how well the agricultural sector does. And like I said, this is why we decided to focus on the farmers in this series. And if you watch the first interview or the first series, any of you that watch it, you will see that there is so much demon. While he's coming on, yeah, there's so much farmers do for us that we don't account for, we don't talk about. Hi Boniface, how you doing? Boniface, can you hear me?
Hi, Mr.
Yeah.
Owen.
How you doing?
Mr. Owen.
Perfect. So
I'm doing well. Yeah.
can you introduce yourself to everyone, to the whole of Africa that is listening right now?
Oh, okay, my name is Boniface. I come from Kenya. I'm a young farmer practicing dairy farming, crops farming, beekeeping. Yeah.
Interesting. So what led you into farming? I mean, everybody, yeah, a lot of people say go into farming. Agriculture is the next big thing, but a lot of people are afraid of going into farming likewise. So what exactly led you into farming?
Yeah, interesting, Mr. What led me into
Yeah.
farming? I work with the Youth Enterprise Development Fund here in Kenya. It is an organization that supports Kenyan youth, and at the same time, it gives Kenyan youth loans to start agribusiness. It boosts entrepreneurs. But it's so unfortunate that I, being an employee of Youth Enterprise Development Fund, I can't be given that loan as a staff. Okay, they call it. It will raise conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
So on my duty, while we visit other young farmers doing businesses, agribusinesses out there, I gain interest after seeing what young are reaping from agriculture. So I started gaining interest slowly, and I came to realize that I had an opportunity sleeping by my side. We had a family land in a place called Nakuru, that's in Rift Valley, where I decided to ask my parents to allow me to start farming in that land. It's about 20 acres of land. So when I put across, I decided to put across the request to my parents. They felt like I'm going to waste a lot of money there in that farm because the place is usually dry. And okay, I just started by keeping 10 chickens, whereby they they multiplied up to now as we are speaking. I have about 112 chickens in that farm, and those chickens I don't use machine to incubate them, or to incubate the eggs so that I can get the chicks. I normally do it the traditional way. So I've been growing slowly up to a level where I decided that now I have workers in that farm. These workers need to be paid, and with the little number of chicken I have in this farm, I can't pay them. I decided to add the cows for dairy farming. I started dairy farming, whereby I started with 2 cows. Right now, both of them have calves, and I've been milking milk daily. And okay, I sell the milk to raise money to pay for their salary at the end of the month. So slowly, I decided again to introduce bee farming in that farm, whereby I started with 2 beehives. But right now, as we are speaking, okay, I have been learning slowly since I started farming. I start with something small to okay, and then I continue gaining interest by the demand outside there. Or you start with something small, you start introducing to your friends, telling them I sell honey, and then they tell you they need more. So, but when the demand rises, I keep on increasing. Right now, as you are speaking, I have about 12 beehives in that farm, whereby from each beehive, I normally have of honey from each beehive. Now, right, I have 12 in total. Hello, Mr. Ian.
Yeah, I'm here. Interesting. Thank you for telling,
okay.
Your story into your foray into farming. But how did you learn these things? Did you have some form of formal education on it? Did you ask a friend? Well, how did you gain competence in this?
Pardon?
How did you learn to farm? I mean, you went from just crop farming to having livestock, and then you have a beehive. How did you learn all these things? Did you pay somebody to teach you? Did you research online? How did you learn these things?
Okay. Whenever I used to go and visit these young Kenyans who are coming in our organization, that's Youth Enterprise Development Fund in Kenya. It's a national organization that was set by the president in the year 2008, and I was lucky to be among the youths who are employed in that organization. Uh, I'm employed in that organization as a operations officer, whereby we move around, interviewing youth, seeing how they do. But I came to realize that I'm just wasting a lot of time in the office, yet money is outside there in farming. In fact, I'm thinking of resigning, quitting my job to give the farming 100% of my time.
Interesting. So what has been the biggest lesson you've learned since you started your farm?
The biggest lesson I've learned since I started this farming, I've learned that money is not in the office. Sitting in the office for 8 hours, doing nothing, or filing papers, yet other people are busy outside there doing farm work. The money lies in the farm, and I came to realize that everything in this world depend from things that come from underground. That is when it comes, for example, when it comes to a cow, it depends on grass that comes from the farm. Us there in the office, we depend on food that comes from the farm. Without a farmer, we can't make it. Farming is everything. Farming is life. That's what I've learned. And I think I've dedicated and I've decided to dedicate the whole of my life in farming, because in this farming, I'm seeing myself. In the next 2 to 3 years, I'm seeing myself very far.
Interesting. Now, you obviously don't work on your farm alone. You definitely have hands that work with you. How's the process of recruiting them been? Has it been difficult to find people that are competent enough to work on the farms, or are you forced to even train them before you can even allow them to work on the farm? How do you manage the people that work with you on the farm?
Now, as a farmer, there is where we face the main challenge when it comes to farming, because if you are not there 100%, most of these people, if you don't recruit them well or train them well, they tend to steal farm produce and sell to benefit themselves. So it is something that you have to look at it very well. You recruit people that you know, okay, you can't be 100% sure that they won't steal from you, but at least you try to do the background check. And as a human being, you also try to give them something that is reasonable to make them not steal from your farm. Since I started, I think I've had, right now I have 4 employees, but I started with about 2. The first challenge I faced when it comes to employers, I employed them, left them in the farm. After 2 weeks, I was called by the neighbors telling me that the boys have decided to go. There's no one in the farm. So it is something that, it's a bit challenging, but at least right now I've empowered them. I'm paying them well, and I've trained them. At times, I give them loans when they want to do something back at their home. I give them loans and I deduct from their salary slowly. So at least I'm confident that I have good people, because for the last 2 years they are doing well. I've not even changed.
Interesting.
For
You know, the people problem is a big issue, right? For any business, the people that you employ to work on your own farm or your business will determine whether your business will survive or not. And I like that you have thought beyond just employing them. You're trying to make them comfortable. You're giving them loans. You're training them so that they remain loyal and they understand the vision of what you're trying to do in your farm. So kudos on that. In terms of COVID, how has that affected you? You know, right now in Nigeria, there's a restriction on movement. People cannot really export what they produce in their farm, or they can't really sell what they produce in their farm openly. Security agencies, unfortunately, are stopping farmers from accessing their farms. For you in Kenya, what has been the biggest difficulty around this COVID period?
The biggest problem, the biggest challenge when it comes to COVID has really affected me because most of my customers, sometimes they tend to believe that now that there is COVID, Corona, touching something, I don't know how I can explain it, but they feel like everything has COVID. Even when you go to deliver your goods, I normally deliver using one of my boys, but when they go to deliver goods, at some point, the customers tend to behave as if the boy has Corona. So they keep on intimidating them until it reached a point where the boys felt like we should stop first and wait to see whether the situation will come back to normal. And then I personally, I can't be able to visit the farm frequently because there is a restriction of movement from Nairobi. Now, as we are restricted to get out of Nairobi because Nairobi is the most affected area, Nairobi and Mombasa, the two cities in Kenya. So I work and live in Nairobi. The farm is in Nakuru County. So I face it difficult to visit the farm frequently. So putting my produce at risk, because at some point you can't trust a human being 100%. They might end up selling maybe, let's say today, since I normally get about 12 liters from dairy in the morning. At some point, they report that they have milked about 9 only. So it has been really a challenge because I can't even send there someone to go and confirm when they are giving out that milk to the person who collects the milk for the dairy, that's the shop that sells the milk.
Interesting. What are you looking to change? Interesting. Or would I say, in terms of your business process and the way you run your farm, how are you adapting it to COVID?
In terms of business and the way I'm running my farm, I've tried to restrict the boys also now, since people are taking advantage of us. They want to buy things at a cheaper price. Just decided to advise them at least to stay within the compound and avoid interaction with the people from outside, so that we don't increase the risk of them getting COVID, which will be, I think, a tragedy to me, because they always work so close themselves, the 4 boys. I've tried to cope with it in that I've introduced, in Nigeria we call him Okada man, the boda guy, the one who rides the motorbike. The Okada man normally comes in the morning to collect the milk, but the boy normally put the milk at the gate. When the Okada man comes to collect the milk, he goes with the milk for delivery. When he comes back, the boys have a sanitizer, whereby they go with a spray, the one that they used to spray the pesticide. Right now we are using it to spray the sanitizer. They sanitize the containers and then they leave it for almost 30 to 40 minutes before they touch the sanitizer. So that's the only way that I've tried to cope with it. And other things like vegetables, they are normally being put at the gate, so that the Okada man just comes. He also the sanitizer is always there at the point where they put it on the gate. When the Okada man comes, he sanitizes, before he picks the luggage. And when he brings back the containers, the boys sanitize the containers before they take the containers back to the farm.
Interesting. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the government. I speak to so many farmers, and one of their main concerns is the lack of support from the government towards the agricultural sector. Do you think that the government in Kenya is doing enough for farmers? And if your answer is no, what do you think the government should be doing?
Okay, I think government is not doing enough for farmers, especially I being one of an employee for one of an institution that gives youth loans. It's not doing enough because some of us youths don't have collateral that are being requested by the government institutions. Okay, now for example, when I need a loan to boost my farm, I'll be requested to, okay, maybe let's say when I want a loan of maybe 2 million or a 1.5, I'll be requested at least to produce something to like a collateral that will be of the value of the double value for the money I'm requesting for, which I feel most of the youths here in Kenya that cannot manage to get such collateral. Because if you want, let's say, 1 million, you are being asked to give a collateral of 2 million. Okay, honestly, let me ask you, you want 1 million, where will you get a collateral for 2 million?
That's a real problem.
Yeah.
So the government should make access to funding available, right? More funding available and funding available for farmers. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The government should make it available and easy to be accessed.
What of access to fertilizers, things like farming, like fertilizers and industrial machines? Do you think the government is doing more in that on that part?
Okay, in Kenya, I think I can say the Ministry of Agriculture normally gives the fertilizer as a subsidized price, whereby I personally use organic manure, the manure that I get from my poultry and dairy. I normally mix them with I can say the rotten grass, because I also farm the hay grass for dairy. So I normally crush the hay grass, the shrubs that we get from the farm, mix them with the manure from cows and from the poultry side. So I personally, when it comes to chemical manure, I can't tell you anything because I normally use organic manure. So I've never been interested in going to shop to buy the fertilizer.
Interesting. Okay, in round up now, what advice to young entrepreneurs and young Africans trying to or thinking about going into farming?
Sorry, pardon?
What would be advice to young entrepreneurs, farmers thinking about going into agriculture farming?
Okay, my advice to young and agri-entrepreneurs that thinks to go into or thinks to start farming is that you doesn't have to get a big land like 20 acres or 30 for you to start farming. There are some crops that are highly valuable on the market, things like onion, of which I'm planning to start very soon doing onions, tomatoes, but right now I have okay, the weather is unpredictable, rains are unpredictable. So I'm thinking of going the modern way of introducing drip lines. So for young Kenyans that think of starting agribusiness, is that agribusiness is a good business. it pays. In most cases, most of the crops, you plant them and you harvest after 3 months. When you, okay, it depends with what you planted. Whatever you plant, at least make sure that you have market for what you are planting. Don't just rush and start planting tomatoes thinking that you'll get market for tomatoes. You have to scout around, know the market, know the type and the quality of seeds you want to use to plant tomatoes. Please try to scout around and talk to us other farmers who have been in the field before, at least to know the type of pesticides that can be used to things like tomatoes. Don't just rush and plant tomatoes like maize and you wait for 3 months thinking that you'll harvest tomatoes.
Thank you for sharing that. I have a bonus question, and it just came to me. Apart from the challenge of you having to recruit somebody or recruit people, what has been the mistake you made, or maybe the most memorable mistake you've made while running your farm?
The mistake I've ever made in my life while recruiting these people who have been coming and go, don't go looking for a cheap person. Don't employ someone who, okay, you know, some people you can just look at someone's eye and you feel like this one is drunk. Drunk people or people who take alcohol will never take you anywhere when it comes to farm work. Farm work is something that is physical. It needs someone who is sober upstairs. It needs someone who is committed. It needs someone who has family or responsibilities. Someone who will work for you as if he's working for in his or her own farm. And if possible, if you don't stay around, try and look for someone who has a family. You employ him with a wife, so that you are sure this man won't go loitering around looking for women. He has a responsibility back in the farm. He has to stay around and work for you as if he stays in his own home.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you've shared. So people across Africa have learned quite a lot from everything you've shared today. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
I wish you success in
Thank
your
you.
farm. And 1 year from now or months from now, we'll reach out to see how well your farm is doing.
Okay, thank you. Maybe before I go, I can share a little bit of challenges that I'm facing right now. Okay, right now in Kenya, I'm facing the challenge of market, and maybe if you come across someone or when you continue interviewing other people, when you come across someone who is willing to offer or educate me more about this thing I've told you that I'm practicing, I'll be glad to be connected to that person, because right now the market in Kenya is competitive and we have these people we call brokers. They keep on misusing our effort. You produce your food, someone comes in like a middleman. You want to take the bigger chunk of the profit, whereby I think also when you have an opportunity of linking us to good market outside there, because currently we are facing that resistance of going directly to consumer. You need to go through someone for you to sell your produce.
All right, Boniface, we'll surely keep in mind, and of course, we would refer people to you that will have this problem shared. All right.
Okay, thank you.
It's been great listening to Boniface, and I'm so excited with a lot of things he has shared. Now, this docuseries is brought to you by the Support for Africa SMEs initiative, and basically we're just a group of people across Africa that want to beam the spotlight on African entrepreneurs, you know, as we are surviving COVID, as, you know, entrepreneurs are battling through all the infrastructural challenges in their various countries. This initiative is there to support them, to educate them, to create opportunities for them, And that's how we came across this series on farmers. I'm trying to see if our next farmer is online. Let's see if Thomas is online yet. Thank you for everyone that has joined this series. I can't mention everybody's name, but it's been great seeing very familiar faces. Thank you. So we're waiting for the next person to come online. Waiting for the next person. So in summary, we can see that farming comes with its own challenges. Hi, Thomas.
Hi. Well,
Man, we are so excited to have you on this docu-series on farmers.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself to everybody watching right now.
Yes, my name is Thomas Owin from Kenya. I'm the CEO and the founder of Game Farmer Center. I was also honored on Transform Kenya Award, working with the farmers to change their lives. Thank you.
Interesting. And why farming? Why exactly did you decide to wake up one day and say, I'm going to dedicate my life towards farming?
Yeah, thank you very much. Agribusiness, it is very important in daily life. Like when you look at in our country, agribusiness account for the 65% of the exports. And the big chunk of land in Kenya, we are doing agribusiness. So it is the backbone of economy of our country.
Interesting. And what was your first foray to farming? What was the first thing you did in farming?
The first, in farming, you must have to gain the interest first. After the interest, I decided to drill a borehole using the kickstart, that is Moneymaker. And immediately you have water, automatically you'll have to go. That is where the starting point, which is very important, that's where we started with in 2004, where I drilled borehole and we have water. The next step, it is changing the environment. We went direct to agroforestry, whereby we must have to plant trees, because when there is a cool environment, friendly environment where there is enough rain, you have changed the environment so that when you start agribusiness, automatically it will do. So the most important thing, again, the next step after water is agroforestry, to change the environment.
Interesting. And okay, can you tell us about your farm? How large is it? What you have livestock, you have crops?
Thank you. I will tell you about my farm and also the networking farmers, because mine is to start with my farm, and then the second with the several farmers, because our intention is to change the lives of the community, empower them, wealth creation and the rest, so that when your neighbors have food on the table, then you are secure. So our farm which we are having more than 20 acres, and then coordinating with the region, that is the Nyanza region in part of Kenya, which is comprises of 4 counties, and we have also extended to the western part, which also encounter one of the counties. The namely counties within Nyanza region covered Siaya, Migori, Kisumu, and Homa Bay. Then now is neighboring of Siaya, we have Busia County.
Interesting. And in starting this farm, networking with your fellow farmers, can you give us 3 lessons you've learned?
When starting the farming, as I've already told you that when you want to do farming, you start with the agroforestry. We started with planting trees around, and again, offered the demonstration site and the site also where the government comes and train people where the community can learn. Thereafter, we distributed more than 20,000 seedlings for everyone to plant trees around. After doing that, then we went back to cropping. With the crop production, trying to plant different crops, especially now the one which now I will mention and is really doing well within our area, and again we have the industry, is the sunflower, soya bean, which is doing well. But apart from those, we also do maize farming, we have beans, we have horticulture, vegetable, which is currently is hotly on the market. And that's what I can give you brief, that most of our farmers, we deal with the crop production, livestock production. And I will go further. Apart from the crop production and agroforestry, which I've mentioned, both also in the blue economy. Blue economy, I will explain to you about the cage fishing within Lake Victoria region.
Okay, now that you have introduced the concept of blue economy, can you explain what that is?
Which part of the economy? Green economy or blue economy?
You said blue. Yes, blue economy.
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me explain now to the economy. The blue economy majorly deal with water, that is being done in Lake Victoria. We have introduced cage fishing because when you look at fish industry in Kenya, also accounts for big chunk of 4.5% of our gross domestic product. But we realized that people were doing fishing within Lake Victoria, which is not organized, and you cannot measure, you cannot calculate the amount which you can get. So what we have introduced are the cages, whereby you put your cages within Lake Victoria, and you must have to coordinate with the fish industry or fish industry in Kenya, whereby you must link with the government. With that, currently we have the production of fingerlings, because without getting the right fingerlings, the production takes around from 8 months to 1 year. That is now, their fish will be mature for sales in the market. This area, again, it is a very major in our industry, because it has introduced the fish pits, which is the fishing was being done by women and youth, where they were being frustrated. They were not getting enough cash because they have to wait. But as at now, we have regulated it, whereby when you put your fingerlings, you can calculate the time frame when they'll reach the market. At the market level, we have also introduced something which is called the fish hub or fish market, whereby these fish depots we can take, and that is access to the market. And actually, we have really increased the fish production in Kenya.
Interesting. You sound very, very knowledgeable. Did you learn on the job, or did you have any formal training in agriculture, or fishery, or whatever in your farm?
As I've told you before, the agribusiness is a passion, and it is an interesting part where you learn. And I've not done agriculture. In fact, I've done business management. But we are working very closely with the experts, because you know very well you cannot be experts in all fields. So we have to get the experts from the government, the experts from different institutions. Like we are also working with the TVET institution, that is the technical institutions, whereby they can give us the innovation, science innovation, and work collaborating with them so that we can get the best in the market.
You mentioned something that, turned on the light bulb in my head. And that's the part that I see a lot of people go into farming, but not understand the business side of farming. How important is understanding that business side? How important is it to a young farmer, understanding the business side of farming and not just going to the farm and, planting or...
Exactly, that is a very important point, especially in the region where we are. didn't take agribusiness or agriculture as a business. That's why now we must have to call it agribusiness. We must have to demonstrate, like right now we have started the farming like horticulture. Let me take example, which we are doing currently. When you work closely with the farmer, you must have to do it practically, because when you only learn theoretically, you will not get it right. So what we do, you start with a farmer, with a small farm, you work and provide the seeds, you prepare the nursery and then transplanting. Immediately, you work along with the farmer until you reach the market level. Immediately you reach the market level, now things are very easy because it is practical and will show a farmer that that model has made us to convince so many farmers and ensure that they see it as part of business, not only agriculture. So that's why we combine it, that agribusiness.
Okay, so let's talk about the challenges you're facing. What are the challenges you faced while working with farmers and while running your own farm?
Okay.
I think we might be having some network issues. Thomas, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, did you hear the last question?
Not really. Can repeat?
Okay. Tell me about the challenges you faced in running your farm and working with farmers.
The challenges?
Yes.
The challenges?
The challenges you have faced while running your farm and working with other farmers.
Exactly, the challenges with the farmers, because most of these farmers, some of them, they don't understand the techniques of working in the farm. So when you leave them to work alone, like for example, the farm which we have actually is the preparation of the land, where we don't have enough plow of preparing the land, and immediately you prepare your land late, automatically it means that you'll have to plant late and you will not get the good yield in a time. So first of the challenges which you are facing here is getting preparation of the land. Another challenge which is also we have on the ground is the transport, because you must have to get enough transport so that you can get the product to the market. Another challenge again is the market, because our people still don't buying the products within the locals. But as at now, those challenges which I'm explaining actually have reduced. And the major challenge again, like addition in the sunflower area, where still we don't have enough seeds, the satisfied seeds. Sometimes we don't get enough seeds in time. But majorly the challenge convincing a farmer that they can earn from there. Most of our people, they believe in white-collar job where they expect themselves to be in the offices and not being in a farm. So when they're in the farm, they think that they are not at the right place.
Interesting, interesting. And how do you think the farmer, the government can make farming more lucrative for people?
The government?
Yeah. How do you think they can make farming more lucrative? Since you say that people see farming as, not lucrative and would rather have white-collar jobs. So how else can the government, I'm focusing on the government right now, not the private sector, how else can the government make farming lucrative?
Yes, the government have done their part, because when I look at the government on the Big Four agenda, it is addressing the food security, it is addressing the manufacturing industry, it is addressing the healthcare, and addressing the housing. So when government has put the effort in food security, it means they are mobilizing the farmers to do much and increase the production. Especially during this coronavirus, the government are buying the products from the local, because as at now we cannot import much from different countries. When we talk of the manufacturing industry, like we have one of the manufacturing industry within, which is more game processing the sunflower. The government have come in to buy, like the county government is buying part of it, whatever we are producing, and also encouraging the farmers. Even the seeds itself, we are getting from Kenya seeds. So that is a role again in the government, playing a major role. When we come to the housing, you know very well that for you to build your house, you must have to need the timber and the rest. So with an increase of forestry, and then the government is trying to emphasize on the housing, it means that's another promotion which the government is motivating us. Healthcare is very important. The food itself is the primary health. When you want to be healthy, you must have to eat well, eat the right food, and the government is really stressing on that. Actually, it is part of the role the government is playing to help us, we as farmers.
Interesting. So what would you advise young farmers or people looking at going into farming at this time?
In fact, thank you very much for the young farmers. Right now, I'm working very closely with the learning institutions to start something which is called Education for Sustainable Development. Education for Sustainable Development, you involve the learning institutions, that is right from the primary school where you involve the kitchen garden, at the primary school where the students can even be involved in planting trees to save the environment. And that is, there is a syllabus from Kenya curriculum development which they have produced. When we go to the secondary, we also do the same thing. We're starting the projects like the poultry, fish ponds within the secondary school. Then now when it comes to the colleges, that is the technical institution, we are working very closely with the agricultural department. And in fact, the ministry have reintroduced several courses in agribusiness, general agriculture, modern farming. And that is when we work with them and set the farm so that it helps them in generating income projects within the institution. I want to mention one of the institutions, which is Ramogi Institute of Technology. They have almost 150 acres. We are working very closely with them. So when the young farmers work in that farm, automatically they'll carry the knowledge to the homestead, and that is will help them to earn a living. So immediately they complete the college, they know very well that agriculture can help them to earn a living.
Thank you so much. You've actually shared a lot. We are grateful to have you as part of our docu-series. And we look forward to the success of your farm, and we'll be checking on you from time to time to see how well you're doing. Thank you once again.
Thank you. In conclusion, I really appreciate on your programs, and generally in Africa. I know Africa believes we need to rely on our countries, within Africa countries, to motivate others so that we can improve in terms of industrialization, agriculture industry, and all other sectors. So we change the living standard of our people, we create wealth and the rest. So thank you very much. I'm happy to join you this evening.
Thank you. So there you have it. We've spoken to two amazing farmers from Kenya. Last week we spoke to two amazing farmers from Nigeria, and there are key things that we can take away from this conversation. The very first thing is we need to make people see that farming is lucrative. Young men do not need to, chase those white-collar jobs. They need to start thinking about farming, because farming is what will help the African continent survive, even as at this time where we are facing COVID and the after effects on the economy. This is also a call to the government to give, collaterals that farmers can and young people can access, collaterals that doesn't require an arm and a leg. Lastly, employing people. Africa has a people problem. I keep on saying, and part of the problem is because education and information is not out there. We're not educating people well enough on how to behave, on how to do their jobs. And education, like the last speaker ended with, is really, 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 really important. So if you're going into farming, do you have the right education? Have you gone to learn what you need to do? Are you trying to collaborate with people that are smarter than you or know better than you? Because it's not all about competition. I mean, we've moved into the collaborative era where industries are finding ways to collaborate, creative ways to collaborate for that matter, because they want to survive. So thank you for joining this and this docu-series, and it's going to continue next week. Hopefully we'll go to another part of Africa, maybe somewhere in South Africa, but you'll find out if you join next week. Thank you for joining once again, and have a lovely day.